What's up, guys? It's Vash. You're going to be doing this anime review of Campione Episode 1. I'm not going to lie, I downloaded the whole series. I'm not going to lie, I downloaded the shit illegally. But I downloaded the shit and I just finished watching Episode 1. I can already tell this is going to be a funny-ass series. It's going to make me laugh. I can already tell because just based on what I read about it and from the opening sequence, this is a harem. I can already tell. Because we are introduced to one of the female protagonists in this episode, but at the same time, in the opening sequence, you see 3 more females. So I'm like, yeah, this is a harem. There's one character who I saw in the opening, but I can't tell that's a girl or not because I just see kind of this much of this person. This person had silver hair and a hat. Had a hat on. I don't know if that's a boy or a girl. Kind of look feminine in the face, but I don't know. Could be a dude, I don't know. A lot of these be some androgynous looking characters. But this episode starts off and we get introduced to the main male protagonist. His name is Kusanagi Godou. I'm assuming Godou is his first name, right? Because they do the first to last name thing backwards. So Godou is his first name. I watched it in English. It was done by Sentai Filmworks. But we get introduced to this character, Kusanagi Godou. And he is a Japanese dude. And he's going to Italy to return a grimoire to a woman named Lucrezia that his grandfather had or whatever. His grandfather left it to him. Does that mean his grandpa's dead? Is his grandfather dead? Because I don't know if they kind of said it. You know what I'm saying? They were just kind of saying like he left that to him. So I'm assuming that he's dead because he said he left it to his, to Godou. So I'm assuming that his grandfather's dead. But this grimoire is this stone tablet that got this weird shit on it. And like he goes to Italy to return it to Lucrezia. I don't know if he was in Rome or not. I think he was in Rome because it was kind of a popular area that he was in. I don't remember seeing the Colosseum, but I think he was in Rome or whatever. And upon landing in Italy, he asks some people around to see if he can get a location or whatever for this woman named Lucrezia. And he's walking in the street and he gets mugged. A girl who is the female protagonist, Blandelli. She pulls out a knife, starts speaking Italian to him, demanding that he give her that grimoire. He doesn't know what she's talking about or whatever. He tries to talk to her or whatever, but she still pulls the knife out on him and says, hey, give me that grimoire. And he's like, the fuck is a grimoire? And then we see this thing just appear out of fucking nowhere, just destroying shit, breaking shit up. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is that? And then she's like, it's a rogue god. And I was like, okay. So apparently there are rogue gods in this world who sort of descend from wherever they're from. Like, are they coming from another dimension, or are they coming from their own particular version of heaven or something? I don't know. They just kind of descend into from another dimension, I'm assuming, because when this rogue god appeared, the color saturation changed around them. So it was once sort of bright, now it's sort of palish. You know what I mean? Like the color scheme is still the same, but it's just pale. The background seems a bit paler than usual. So I was just like, okay, so it's obvious that this thing stepped from one dimension into the next, but it seems like it brought its own dimension with it. You know what I'm saying? And from what I can gather, they are the only ones who can see it. Godou could only see it because he has the grimoire in his hand or whatever, and the girl Erica, she can see it because she's a knight in this organization called the Copper Cross or some shit, the Copper Black Cross or something like that. She's a part of this organization or whatever, and she's a knight, and she has magical power. She does magic. She does this thing where she can float on these, they look like transmutation circles. She does this technique, it's called the boots of Hermes or some shit like that. So she gets the ability to kind of jump and glide from place to place. And she also does this thing called Coro de Leone. It's a lion thing. She kind of summons this shit. When she just kind of holds her hand up, she kind of summons this thing. I think Coro de Leone means Heart of the Lion in Italian. I looked it up. I think I remember it saying that. And she summons this shit. She tries to fight this thing or whatever. And Kusanagi Godou tries to help or whatever because I guess he's the sort of main character, the male character who doesn't like to see anyone get hurt, whether he just met them or not. He always wants to help, I'm assuming. And as he's going through this little alleyway, he runs into this kid. This kid has purple hair. He's wearing a robe and all that sort of shit. And he kind of has this glow to him. So right off the bat, I was like, yeah, this kid's obviously not human. I knew that shit right away. He's obviously not human. And it turns out later on that kid is Verethragna. And he plays a very, very, very important role later on in the shit. But he picks up the stone tablet that Godou dropped, and he like looks at it, and he like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. And he gives the shit back to Godou, and then Godou and Erica both leave to go to Lucrezia's place after a little hilarious thing that happened with them. They were at the train station, and I remember this scene, like, they was in a train station, and Godou was like, man, it's taking the train a long time to get here. And then Erica was just like, that's why I told you I didn't want to take the train. And Godou was like, you never said that shit to me, and why are you with me anyway? And then she was like, I can't let a grimoire of that magnitude, you know what I'm saying, go unwatched. Normally, I would have taken it from you. And then he was just like, didn't you pull a knife out on me, like, not too long ago? And then she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was funny. Like, right then and there, I was like, okay, this is going to be a series I can get into. It's going to be kind of like on some high school DxD sort of shit, so I can get into this, you know what I'm saying? Probably not as perverse, but I can get into this. So they go to Lucrezia's place, and ironically enough, Lucrezia is like a 20-year-old woman, so that shocked me too. I wasn't expecting that. First of all, she was speaking through her cat, which I wasn't expecting either. That shocked the fuck out of me. Like, it was a black cat sitting on like her fence post or whatever, and like she's talking through the cat. She's using her magic to talk through the cat or whatever, and that confused me. But then they go inside of her house, and she's like a 20-year-old woman, but her title is the Witch of Sardinia, so I'm assuming she is the greatest mage in that area, and her having a spell to keep her youthfulness isn't too outlandish, you know what I mean? So I was just like, oh, okay, you know. And she's a funny ass character. I hope she sticks around for a long time, because Godou was just like, damn, like, my grandfather got this from you, so I'm just assuming you would be around his age, but you look relatively young. And then she was just like, oh, this body's fairly new, you want to give it a try? I was just like, what? I thought, what the fuck? What the hell is going on? But she looks at the grimoire, and she, looks it over or whatever, and she just like, she asked Godou, did he run into anybody, so on his way here? And he was just like, yeah, it was some kid. I ran into some kid who had a weird manner of speaking, you know what I'm saying, but he gave this back to me or whatever. And I think right then and there she knew that the kid must have been Verethragna, you know what I'm saying? And she was just like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to give this back to you then. Which ends up helping out later on, so that's a good thing. She gave that shit back to his ass. But she gives him the grimoire back, and Erica's pissed off about that shit, because apparently he's a newbie at magic, and him having a grimoire that powerful is wasted on him and all that type of shit, so she's mad. And they stand at Lucrezia's place or whatever, because she had this big fucking mansion sort of thing. It's I don't know if it's still in the same area, because they drove there, but he was also waiting on the train, so I'm assuming, hell, it might even be in Sardinia, which I thought was in, I could be wrong, but I think they went from Rome to Sardinia. I don't know how far that is, but that's where her mansion is or whatever. And another funny scene kind of happened where she was drinking, and that was something that was kind of like fucked up to my eye, because I was thinking that they were school age, because if you look in the like sequence or whatever, you see that Godou in one of the sequences is wearing a high school uniform. I think he had on black and like a high school uniform, but I see what the girls are wearing. It's kind of this like palish yellow shit with some blue thing here with like a blue skirt. So I'm like, okay, that's a school uniform, so they're high school aged. So I was like, why is she drinking like wine? But I was like, wait, they in Italy, and I'm assuming she's about 16. I think you got to be around that age to drink wine in Italy, I think. So I was like, okay, that's because they kind of fucked me up at first. I thought, why the fuck is she drinking and she's a kid? But 16, I think you got to be 16 to drink wine in Italy, so it's whatever. But she is drinking because she's kind of pissed off. But she's talking to a mask the entire time, thinking that it's Godou. She thinks that it's Godou, but he's behind her, and she's talking to a mask. Then she gets drunk, she gets wasted or whatever, and he's taking her to her room upstairs because she's kind of just drunk, and she's passing out drunk or whatever. And she thinks it's her maid, whose name is Arianna, and she's like, hey, you know what I'm saying, do my zipper or whatever, like undo my zipper. And then he just like, oh man, and then she's like, hurry up, you know what I'm saying, and he fucking goes to unzip it, and her clothes just fucking come off, and she's wearing a bra, panties, garter belts, and all that shit, and he just kind of covers her up, and he goes to leave, but the door is locked. And Lucrezia actually had her cat to lock the door, because she said that he has the same luck with women that his grandfather had. So apparently his grandfather was, I'm not gonna say a ladies' man, but he was kind of this smooth cat, this attractive cat to women, and Godou is the same apparently. So that was kind of funny to me. The next day is when it get interesting because they have this little thing. I mean, it was some fun shit that happened when they woke up. You know, Erica kind of snapped, but forget all that. Something happened that was interesting in the end when there's this this giant fucking rogue god. Like when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, it was a giant fucking rogue god or whatever. His name is Melqart, and I think he's a Phoenician god or some shit. But he's like a giant fucking god or whatever, and he's going to fight Verethragna. Like he was just like, I'm gonna fight Verethragna, and then we see that Verethragna is that kid or whatever, and Verethragna apparently has that sort of Tagoro mentality. I want somebody to defeat me. I want to fight someone who's strong, who can defeat me, sort of mentality, whatever. And Melqart is there, and then this is when we see another side of Godou. I'm assuming Godou is slightly, it seems like even though he tries to, because he seems like he's just a nice guy from what I can gather with his personality, but at the same time, he might enjoy a fight, because the whole time he was smiling during this shit, looking at this giant fucking rogue god, and looking at the power Verethragna had. He was smiling through the whole thing, so I'm like, yeah, this dude might enjoy a fight. You know what I'm saying? So he's just kind of just like talking to Melqart. He's like, hey, team up with me and we can defeat him together or whatever, because he has that grimoire, and the grimoire's power is like protecting him. It's like putting a shield around him and all that shit, because Verethragna tried to do some shit. But then Godou takes Verethragna's golden sword, which has the power to cut through authority. It has the power to just like slash at divinity, which I thought was cool as fuck. I was like, oh, okay, so if you get cut with Verethragna's sword or whatever, then the shield and magic that you had to protect yourself is gone. There is no authority that you have anymore. You can't even summon your own power for the most part, because he just cut through it. So I thought it was cool as shit. I was like, oh, okay, that's gangster. Like, that's cool. I like that. You know what I'm saying? That was a different sort of twist. That's cool. And yeah, he steals Verethragna's sword, and then Erica in this episode, she kisses him, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? But then we see that like internally she's doing something, so I'm just like, okay. And I had to read that shit. I'm not gonna lie, like I watched the episode, I kind of didn't get it, and I watched it, but apparently she gave him the ability to understand everything about the god that he was fighting and how to defeat him. You know what I'm saying? Meaning like where he originated from, what his weaknesses is, and Godou had to chant, like, from what I can tell throughout the other episodes, whatever, because I watched episode 1, I didn't watch the other ones or whatever. I watched episode 1 and stopped, but from what I can tell, it seems like he's gonna have fights with other gods, because of course he becomes the Campione, which he's the god slayer. How could he keep that title if he doesn't fight gods? And apparently he's going to have to figure out their origins to cut through their divinity by reciting their origin and cutting through the name, which I think is cool. You know what I'm saying? He has to literally understand his opponent first before he can defeat them. I'm like, okay, I fuck with that. You know, but yeah, he learns all that stuff and he defeats Verethragna. I don't know if he kills him, but he defeats Verethragna from what I can gather, and he becomes the new Campione. He becomes the Campione, the God Slayer. So I was like, okay, that's cool, man. But something tripped me out though. Why do they call them Demon Kings? Because in that little outro, that guy was like, Kusanagi Godou is the Campione, the Demon King. I'm like, why did they call them Demon King? But what is the connection between Demon King and, yeah, I mean, that part I don't get. Maybe I need to look up the term Campione. I don't know what the shit mean, but he becomes a Campione, which is the God Slayer, and I was like, that's cool as shit. You know, and that's how this particular episode ends. So I was like, I'm gonna like this. You know, we have this main male protagonist with these cool ass sort of powers. You know what I'm saying? He has the power to cut away at divinity, which I think is cool as shit. You know. Then we have this female character who, in the beginning, was kind of weird. I was just kind of like, I don't really get her character. She seemed kind of mean, but you know, seeing her drunk and the way she was acting when she was at Lucrezia's house, and the way she reacted the next morning when Godou saw her, you know, with a lack of clothes on or whatever, she just seemed like a normal girl. So I'm like, oh, okay, like, she's a character who I can actually like, you know what I'm saying? And in that intro, seeing those other characters, I just kind of want to see what they like too, because this is a harem, but that's why I said it's on a high school DxD level, because there's action and fighting behind this shit. as opposed to it just being, hey, I'm one guy, here goes 6 bitches, let's see who I'm gonna fuck with. You know what I mean? So it's cool. I like this shit. Let me know what you guys think about this shit though, man. Let me know what you feel about the information that I relayed. Did I get it right? Was I wrong on some aspects? I probably was, because I just watched the shit, then I cut it the fuck off. But yeah, let me know what you think about all this shit though, man. Vash and Stampede, gone.